Hello everyone, it's me, Duncan from Let's Get Out, and I'm just going to do a little video today about wind speeds at Forest School while you're out in the woods. It's a little bit breezy out here today on my walk, so I thought it'd be a good one to cover. There's a lot of questions often go around about when should we cancel forest schools or any outdoor activities you may be running, or if you're just thinking of going for a walk in the woods. So today, I'm not sure if you can pick up the wind until I watch this back, but it's a bit breezy today, but I think it's gusting up to about 30 miles an hour, which is not too bad. It's breezy, it will loosen off some hang-ups that you get up in the trees, but it's not overly unsafe, but as long as you're wary. But a lot of it is, of course, knowing your site as well. So if you've got your site, you've got to understand what trees you've got around and what the conditions have been recently and up until sort of that day. You know, I mean, if you've had very wet conditions, then the ground's softer, the roots are not necessarily as strong, so that's when a lot of the fall trees come over, when you've got wet conditions and high winds. As for sort of hang-ups and breakages up in the canopy, that comes more down to sort of obviously disease and just generally high winds. So as a rule of thumb for our forest school, so I'm ducking some branches, as a rule of thumb for our forest school, knowing our site and knowing how it is on sort of normal conditions, gusting of 37 miles an hour, we're looking at cancelling. So above that is a definite no-no. Below that, then we start to look at conditions, the length of time it's going to be gusting, and how long, and what previous conditions have been as well. Because obviously, if that's a day we've got forest school on, and we've had 2 days of really strong winds beforehand, obviously then you're looking at higher risk up in the canopy of hang-ups, etc., and things that can sort of come down in continuous high winds. So obviously you've got to risk assess for it. I'm stating the obvious here, but you've got to risk assess for these things, and regular site checks, looking up, you know, get that sore neck, looking up, and obviously if it's your site, you know the differences, you get to know your site. If it's a different wood you're going into, maybe worth having a good inspection in advance, looking for any risks, and also the types of trees. So one where we do a lot of our regular forest was one I was touching on earlier, is a high oak wood where we use, so it's a bit more stronger than a lot of other areas. The wood I'm currently walking through, well, the one I'm walking through is a younger part of the wood, but there is a part I've just walked through with lots of ash trees all suffering from dieback. I avoid that like the plague when it's windy, because I've seen many trees come down in there, some of them not even showing signs of dieback until they've come down. You can see the damage inside. So ash trees at the moment, I think, are the big risk. Yeah, you know, people bang on about beeches and not being under beech, and beech are dangerous, they do just drop limbs, but I'd rather stand under a beech than an ash at the moment. I think, yeah, seeing some of them coming down and getting twisted up, it's they're really bad. But yeah, where we've got oaks and stuff in one of our sites, it's a lot more it's a lot more stable, and it's a regular site, so we can keep an eye on it. But yeah, so looking at the conditions, looking at the disease, but as I say, as a gauge, 37 miles an hour, that's what we sort of use. You can feel that picking up now. That's probably around about, I'd say that's probably around about late 20s, that gust you just heard come in, maybe. Good to have a look up in the canopy, very low canopy here. Have a good look up in the canopy and see what's happening, because if you're down in your wood and you've got large trees like we have at some of our sites, it may not feel as windy where you're standing, whether you're 5 or 6 foot tall, but if you have a look up in the canopy, it'll obviously be a lot more windy. So have your escape plans in place, have your safe areas to go to, and be prepared, especially on a windy day. You've got to be prepared for them kids to hear you as well, so whistles ready, and so you can get yourselves out in plenty of time. But yeah, so you want to have a look, download a PDF of the Beaufort scale. that's really good for gauging wind and sort of linking up wind speeds to how you'd see them, like small branches moving, large branches moving, trees coming down, etc. That's a really good resource to go and have a look at and check on. But as I say, risk assess, get to know your site, and if it's a new site, a few visits beforehand, and really try and sort of connect with that site, and then you get a lot better idea of it. But 37 miles an hour is kind of our rule if conditions have been good beforehand. All right, so hopefully that's just helped give a little bit of an insight into wind speeds in the woods. All right, thanks.